Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? Welcome back to the MMAnonstop.com podcast with Jordan and Brian.
MMAnonstop.com, the first place for all your news and notes in the world of MMA online. We combine all your news into one place so you don't have to go search for it.
You're listening to episode 7 now of the podcast, and we are visiting with UFC welterweight contender Jake Ellenberger.
Now, Jake's just coming off a knockout victory over Sean Pearson at UFC 129.
So keep it listening. We're going to talk to him about his career, about that fight, and what he thinks about the welterweight class in general.
MMAnonstop.com. The fight starts here. Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnonstop.com podcast. Today we're joined by a legitimate UFC superstar who recently won via KO at UFC 129, welterweight contender Jake Ellenberger. Jake, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, Jake, this is Brian. So let's jump into recent history and talk about that big fight at 129, especially fighting Sean Pearson, a Canadian in Canada. You basically stepped into the octagon in front of 55,000 fans as the bad guy. Did you get that bad guy feeling?
Yeah, I did a little bit. Obviously the crowd was for for the hometown guy. I'm fighting in Canada, but for me, fighting is so mental, and I've never really been one to let anything like, the crowd or an opponent affect me. I'm going to go out there and make him fight me. You know what I mean? I don't really put too much thought into what he's going to do. Just, more of what I'm going to do. And I think that I showed that in Toronto.
Absolutely, yeah. You definitely showed what you wanted to do with a big KO win. But you hurt your hand, too. How's the hand doing?
Oh, the hand's doing great, actually. I did break my hand in the fight. Had an operation 2 days after the fight, and right now it's been about 4 weeks since I've had surgery, and it's doing great, though. I've been doing physical therapy and feeling up well.
Yeah. So what's the timetable as far as being able to come back and train?
I'm training a little bit right now. Been doing some bag workouts and some Thai pads and stuff like that, but it'd probably be about 3 weeks before I could actually go live with wrestling or rolling, or sparring, anything like that.
Yeah, so fighting on that big stage, 55,000 freaking people. I mean, what was it like walking into the arena, and would you call that the biggest moment of your career?
It definitely. I try to not think about it a lot. I'm really, really focused when I'm in here warming up in the back room, all the way out to the octagon. Just extremely focused and not trying to ignore all the distractions and intangibles out there.
Right. I mean, watching it, it was a truly impressive, venue and an impressive card, but a great win by you over Sean Pearson. Now, Jake, yesterday, on Twitter, Anthony Rumble Johnson, he dropped out of his fight against at UFC on Versus 5 against Nate Marquardt, and they replaced him with Rick Story. I mean, would that fight against Marquardt, would that have interested you at all?
Absolutely. I'm not. I'm always looking forward to moving forward in my career, and I think finding a guy like Nate Marquardt who's established himself, in the middleweight division and among some of the best in the world. Definitely, I'm always looking to progress myself and get better, but unfortunately, right now I can't. I'm not cleared to fight yet, so I'm still sitting out on the sideline. But I would definitely been interested in that fight.
So was UFC and Joe Silva fully aware of your injury? I mean, did they contact you and say, hey, is this a possibility, or they knew that your timetable?
I talked to my manager a little bit, and he's talking to Joe every other day, and keeping him updated on my status and stuff like that. So, we're pretty much, our hands are tied, until I get cleared by the orthopedic doctor.
Okay. Now, after, I know you attended UFC 130, and I read some of your tweets about it. After UFC 130, that fight between Thiago Alves and Rick Story, a lot of people on Twitter are saying, hey, you know what, this would be a great fight for Jake Ellenberger. You guys previously fought back in 2008, and you unfortunately lost a unanimous decision against him. Being where you are now and where he is, does that fight interest you at all? Are you interested in getting that loss back?
Yeah, absolutely. you know what? He's doing well. He's won 5 or 6 in a row now, and I know that I can beat him. He's he's getting better and he's doing well. So, but absolutely, it definitely, when I fought him, that's definitely the fight that left a bad taste in my mouth. I wasn't very smart when I took that fight. I'm still trying to make money, and I wasn't training right, and I really wasn't even in shape when I took the fight as well. But I'm a completely different fighter now, and surrounded myself with such good, positive people and coaches. So I wouldn't hesitate at all if they asked me to fight Rick Story. I would, as far as skills go, that excites me. I think I'm the better fighter all the way around. I see, I've seen him in his last few fights, and he's a pretty simple guy. He's a lot like Fitch, the grinder, and he comes in good shape. But he's a double-A guy, and in the last few years, I've been wrestling with some very high-level guys, and that part of my game has just gone through the roof. So
yeah,
that fight definitely interests me.
Right. I mean, I think obviously, you said you took that fight on short notice, and you're probably a different fighter. And since you've come to the UFC, you're 5-1 in the UFC, and 25-5 now overall. So I mean, a lot of success in these last few fights.
Yeah, and you talked about getting some really high class wrestlers you've been training with, and after 129, you called out Jake Shields. So why do you want to fight Jake, and how do you think you match up against him?
I think I match up very well against Jake. A lot of people keep asking me about Shields, and I'm as far as calling people out. I'm kind of done calling people out. I'm ready to fight the best guys in the division. I think Shields is definitely one of the better guys in the division, and I think we match up well. So, it's up to the UFC if they make that fight happen. Great. I'm kind of at the point right now. I'm just looking to fight whoever's going to, whoever I have to get my shot at a world title. So, if that's Shields or Koscheck or Fitch or whoever, I will be ready.
Yeah, speaking of the division in general, it's a pretty deep division. How do you think it stacks up against some of the other UFC divisions? The lightweight division really pops out in a lot of people's mind as being stacked.
Oh yeah.
But the welterweight division, there's plenty of talent there too. How do you think it stacks up?
I think the lightweight division is stacked as well. I think both lightweight and welterweight are extremely deep, and people don't understand too, like when you're fighting at the level of the UFC, there's no easy fight. Everybody's gonna be hungry, everybody's, we're training hard, they want to they want to get in that top 10. So it was so many guys, especially in the welterweight division as well, that are studs. It's exciting to be a part of, and it proves you really can't look past anybody and take anybody lightly.
Going back, a lot of these guys that we're talking about, Rick Story, John Fitch, Koscheck, they're all big wrestlers, and you have, I think, 16 wins by KO. So obviously that's a way that you can separate yourself. How else do you feel that you could stand out with all these wrestlers?
For me, really beating these guys is coming in good shape and moving my feet a lot. I actually like watching Frankie Edgar fight a lot. He's fun to watch. He never stops moving his feet, and that's a guy that's a good guy to try to mimic. Like, he does well against high level wrestlers, and I'm trying to take other guys like Fitch and Story out of their comfort zone and make them fight me on their feet. I think I have the advantage. And obviously, their wrestling is good,
yeah.
But I feel I have somewhat of an advantage in the striking department. So, coming in shape and just out working them really. I've recently had some great coaches. Master Rafael Cordero at King's MMA. He's a phenomenal coach. One of the best guys I've ever worked with, and just opened my eyes a lot to striking in general. And there's a lot of things I haven't seen. That's where I think I've excelled the most right now is my striking.
You took a fight against Sean Pearson on short notice, and you kind of made your name for yourself as a guy who can fight anytime, anywhere. And when you're healthy,
ideally, how many fights are you interested in having a year?
Yeah, if I'm healthy, 3 or 4. I'd like to fight at least 3 or 4 times a year. Gives you plenty of time to train, or I'm like I said, at this level, it's hard to continuously compete. As far as peaking, with your conditioning and
That is not all, folks. That is just part 1 of episode 7 of the MMAnonstop.com podcast with Jake Ellenberger.
Check out part 2 of our interview with Jake Ellenberger at youtube.com/MMA Nonstop. MMAnonstop.com. The fight starts here.